Here.
Mrs. Gandhi,
Here.
Mr. Hyatt,
Here.
Mr. Alonsky,
Here.
Mrs. McCormack,
Here.
Dr. Miskowitz,
Here.
Mr. Petruno,
Here.
Mrs. Seward, and Mrs. Mendez.
Here. I'd like to draw your attention to Sunshine Law, statement of videotaping of public portion of Board of Education meetings, public comments statement, and no smoking or vaping on school grounds. We won't read them in its entirety, but they are there listed in the agenda. Can you now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start the meeting, we just want to have a moment of silence that will be observed in memory of Mr. Julio Galicia. He's a mechanic, Transportation Department, who passed away on November 7th, 2024. So we have suffered a tremendous loss here in the Marlboro Township Public School District. Mr. Galicia, as I said, passed away on November 7th, 2024. He was with the district for 11 years. His knowledge, experience, and expertise were his greatest assets, which had a favorable impact on the district. Julio had a wonderful personality and always had a smile on. He was always available, even in the worst of weather, and could always be counted on to get the buses ready storm after storm. He leaves behind his wife and 2 children. Julio will be greatly missed by all. Just a moment of silence, please. And again, we're sorry, our deepest loss to this employee, and sorry, again, condolences to his family and everybody who was impacted by his loss. We will now move on to the staff respect certificates. Mr. Ballone.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As we have started for this new year, we have recognition both on the student side and the staff side. So I will cover staff respect certificates. Essentially, if anything comes in from a staff member, so you should know this as the community, if any of our staff members have gone above and beyond, we take that feedback very seriously, and we recognize staff members who receive such feedback. This evening, we actually have 2 staff members. The first one is from the Buildings and Grounds Department. We received information in that this person went above and beyond in his normal job duties, and we certainly would like to recognize him here this evening. Theodore Hall, would you please come up and give him a big hand? And our second staff member is from Marlboro Middle School. This actually came from an outside person, not necessarily a Marlboro community member. This staff member is a coach and also a phys ed teacher at Marlboro Middle School. And please give your big welcome to Ryan Collins. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you so much to the staff that got the awards. It's so nice to be giving out the certificates to them and recognizing them, so thank you. We're going to move on now to student recognition and respect certificates, and today it will be Robertsville Elementary.
Hi, everybody. I'm Anthony Giratano. I am the very proud principal of Robertsville Elementary School. Tonight is about recognizing our students, but I want to give a special thank you, and I'm going to ask them that they come up, to our beloved Vice Principal, Mrs. Georges, and our amazing guidance counselor, Mrs. Tongring. These two wonderful, wonderful people are like my right and right hands. They support our students each and every day. I also want to thank our amazing teachers that are in attendance, and I see Mrs. Bono and Mrs. Stafflinger in the back, so also thank you so much. And all of the staff members out there in TV land, thank you. They truly support what our kids do every single day. I also want to thank our parents for giving us the opportunity to educate such wonderful students and wonderful kids. You send us your best every single day, and we give them our best every single day. So thank you very much, parents and students. This is all about you tonight, so we're going to recognize 3 different groups. I also want to thank Mr. Ballone, Mrs. Gross, our Board of Ed, for supporting the great work that we do each and every day at Robertsville. So like I said, we're going to feature 3 student groups tonight. We're going to open with our student ambassadors who work with Mrs. Tongring to plan lessons and opportunities to teach their peers as it relates to our character pillars, student interactions, and situations where peer-to-peer learning is essential and effective. So I'm going to turn over to our ambassadors if you want to come up, and they're going to walk the board and the public through our process, through their process on how they educate their peers.
Good evening. My name is Leo. I'm with the 5th grade student ambassadors. It is an honor for us to be here tonight and talk about what we do as student ambassadors to help spread Marlboro character pillars throughout the halls of Robertsville.
My name is Sophia, and we are excited to share with you our enthusiasm for respect and our process for creating our lessons and presentations to the classes. But first, let me share with you how we became ambassadors. Since 1st grade, we have all shown respect, kindness, and leadership, and our 4th grade teachers chose us to be our school's representatives. It is such a great honor.
Hello, my name is Sign. We meet weekly with Ms. Tongring, our school counselor, during our lunch and recess time. For October presentations, we focus on respect, which was the pillar for the month. We research age-appropriate videos and songs to incorporate into our slideshows, along with creating our own texting games to play with the students.
Hello, my name is Harper. We also paired up with a partner to create our lessons. We worked on this for a few meetings, and then we rehearsed our presentations in front of our ambassadors in group so we wouldn't be too nervous.
Hi, I'm Ethan. Ms. Tong reviewed and helped us get to our final product. She then created a schedule for us to come to each of the classrooms to do our lessons.
Hello, my name is Ravenna. I really enjoyed making these presentations. I felt like a teacher and it was really cool. I know that these experiences will help me feel more comfortable speaking in front of people. With each presentation I did, I felt more comfortable, and next time it will be so easy for me.
Hi, I'm Savia. Besides our monthly lessons, we also help roll out our monthly character pillars. We assist Mrs. Tongring in our monthly school-wide activities by giving out materials and promoting the pillar activity throughout the school.
Hi, my name is Bradley. As student ambassadors, we also go on Video News Monthly. We talk about the pillars and share important information with the school. I really like doing this because we become well known with the other students, which is an awesome feeling.
Hi, I am Urim. This month is citizenship, and we have been working hard with promoting the pillar and giving back to our community. We have been collecting and organizing our annual Thanksgiving food drive, and it makes me feel good to know that I am helping people through the holidays.
Hello, my name is Casey. I wanted to say that I love being a student ambassador at Robertsville. Knowing that I am helping and guiding students every day and making good choices is so rewarding. I enjoy my student ambassador group, and hanging out with everyone has made us like a family. I really recommend to everyone to work hard and show good character and respect so one day you can be an ambassador just like us. Thank you to everyone tonight for having us here.
Why don't you all turn around and face your family so they can clap for you? So these are leaders in our building. They worked hard for all of the years they've been at Robertsville, and they're able to now achieve being, like I said, leaders in our building. So I thank you for all the hard work that you do and for presenting tonight. You did a wonderful job. It is not easy to stand up here in front of people at home and all of you and the Board of Education. So I'm very proud of each and every one of you. So thank you. You're good. Right back to your seats.
They did a great job. I just want to say you thanked us for being here. We want to thank you. You're such an important piece of our school community, and these student ambassadors are just vital to the group and the school. So thank you so much for what you do, and thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Thank you. So our ambassadors referred to this idea of respect, and that was our first character pillar that we worked through at Robertsville. So the next group that's going to come up is going to present the Robertsville Runs on Respect competition that we did in September and October. And we were featured at the last board meeting, just a student impact video that briefly went through, what it was that we did and how we got the entire school community involved. And you can see just all around the board table, these were a lot of our submissions. We had over 97 submissions, or we had 97 submissions. So you see a bunch of them here for students that wanted to have the opportunity to have their image featured on a shirt that staff and now students will be able to purchase and have throughout the school. So we're going to feature that student. He's actually wearing the shirt, so you can see, and you can purchase through our PTO Spirit Wear. But Robertsville Runs on Respect was something that engaged the staff initially, and we were looking for a theme that the entire school could rally behind that was in conjunction with what the board was talking about with regards to the Year of Respect and how we can kind of get our students rallying behind something and our staff as well. And respect is so key with peer-to-peer as well as peer-to-staff, staff-to-staff, so it was something that we could all get behind. So what we did was we had our staff develop and vote on a theme, which they chose Robertsville Runs on Respect, and then we opened that up for students to kind of imagine what that looks like to them and put that into an art competition. And as I said, you can see it all around the room. So myself, Mrs. Georges, Ms. Tongering, all got together and voted and had our 5 finalists who got to eat lunch with me. It was, it was probably more fun for me than it was for them to be able to sit and have lunch and just talk. And then we also came together and they wrote just what respect means to them, how it looks at Robertsville, and what kind of inspired them to create their images that got them to be finalists. So I'm going to ask that our Robertsville Runs on Respect kids come on up. So they have their writing and they have their images as well. And if I can just point to Mr. Hunter Ma, who was our winner, he is currently wearing the Robertsville Runs on Respect shirt. Come on out here, Hunter. Wow. Come on out. No, over here. Show everybody your shirt. So this was the winning design, and like I said, the staff have it. We have a couple. We have Ms. Stafflinger who's wearing it, and we were really proud that his work and his name is able to be featured on a piece of clothing that our building can rally behind. So, Millie and Ravenna, would you like to go first? All right, Hunter, come on back here.
Hi, my name is Millie, and I'm here to share a small speech about respect. Respect means so much to me, and there's so many ways to show it. Here at Robertsville, we show respect in many different ways. For instance, we hold the doors open, push in chairs, and even tie each other's shoes. Respect is also about accepting people's differences in their cultures. The list could go on and on of ways that we show consideration for one another. For example, all the students here have played a major part in the respect happening throughout Robertsville. Not only have they been kind and caring to the teachers and staff, but they have also respected their classmates and everyone around them. I designed this drawing because it represents the respect and kindness being shown here at Robertsville. I hope it inspires kids to spread more respect all around the school.
To me, respect means a bunch of things, such as accepting others' differences, treating everyone with the same level of citizenship, making the right choices even when no one is looking, treating others the way you want to be treated, accepting and appreciating others' cultures and religions, and understanding that people can have different opinions and beliefs. These are some examples of respect, but this list can go on forever. I see respect happening at Robertsville when students follow rules, cooperate with classmates and staff, when people help classmates even when no one is watching, and make the right decisions. I came up with my drawing to have a fun way to encourage students at Robertsville to be respectful.
So this was one of our finalists, and this is what they depicted as what they thought Robertsville runs on respect. Emma, would you like to go?
Hi, my name is Emma. Today I will be sharing with you what respect means to me, how it is happening at my school, and how I came up with my design for the Robertsville Runs On Respect competition. First, respect is very important to me. To me, it means to treat others the way I want to be treated. For example, if someone is speaking, I would be listening and not talking. Just like if I were speaking, I would want someone to be listening and not talking as well. Secondly, it is very easy to spot this type of respect at my school. For instance, when we are sharing our answers to a question, nobody interrupts the speaker and the first speaker doesn't interrupt the other speakers. Everyone at our school is kind and respectful. Lastly, I came up with my design for the competition by the title. At first, I was going to draw our school, but soon found out that it was going to take too long. It took me a few minutes to find a new topic. So then I thought about the title, Robertsville Runs on Respect. To run, most people wear sneakers when they run, so I drew a sneaker. I wanted to add something special but didn't know what, so I tried asking my dad. He said try drawing the school mascot. That's it, I thought. Robbie the Roadrunner. I copied the face from the paper Mrs. Krusnes printed, and it worked out perfectly. I drew lines and tried adding a shoelace. Before I started cutting, I drew a shooting star for my shoe to stand on. I thought a plain old concrete ground wouldn't be that exciting, so I chose a shooting star, and then I cut it out. The very next day, I wrote my name and my teacher's name on the back and turned it into a bin. In conclusion, I went to the Taekwondo assembly with my class. At the beginning, Mr. G announced the winner and the finalists. I didn't win, but I got called as the finalist. This was the happiest day ever.
Ms. Patel, would you like to go?
Hi, my name is Swat. To me, respect means to help, be kind, or treat something with care. A way to show respect is hold a door and help someone before they ask you. You could also share. The way I came up with my drawing was I thought of a word you could respect, like E is for each other, S is for self, P is for property, again is for environment, and the rest. After that, when I said runs on respect, I drew a road that said respect on it, and on top of the road, I drew a roadrunner. Then those words I thought of, I used them to put under each letter.
Swar, I'm so proud of you. She's in 3rd grade. Really, really awesome. You ready, Sahavi? Come on up.
For me, respect means to be kind and considerate to others and to respect each other's differences. It also means to be caring and even just help your friend when they need some help. I see this happening a lot at Robertsville. For instance, when the special needs students are having a tough time at class, the rest of the students find some ways to help by handing them a tissue if they need it, or by holding the door for someone in the hallway. They also would just let someone have a turn on the swing if they didn't already. I came up with this idea to show people joining hands, because people joining hands is kind of like a symbol of respect, meaning that everyone is all together and happy, just like everyone at Robertsville Elementary School is.
And lastly, thank you so much. Lastly, Hunter Ma, who won our competition.
Respect is very important to me. I see a lot of respect at Robertsville happening in different ways. Teachers are always teaching us how to be respectful. They teach us to say, I disagree respectfully, or I disagree politely when someone says something you do not agree with. It is important because just because someone does not agree with you, you do not want them to feel bad about themselves. I also see a lot of respect when I play sports. When someone falls down, we go to help them up to see if they are okay. At the end of a game, whether we win or lose, we respect our opponents by giving handshakes and saying good game or GG. I wanted my drawing for Robertsville to show this. It represents my favorite school, Robertsville, my favorite hobby, playing sports, and my favorite pillar, respect.
You all did the best job. I am so proud of you. Thank you for coming and thank you for presenting. I really appreciate it. You're good. You did it. So the final part are our students that were nominated or were recommended for respect and kindness certificates. We had a ton of students who were nominated, and we're very, very proud of them. They've demonstrated this idea of respect and kindness every day when they come in. Just some examples of what teachers have written: taking it upon himself to offer a peer help, great student, respectful to classmates, follows the class expectations, very kind to her friends and respectful to others, demonstrates respect. So these are all things that teachers had filled out when they recommended these students. So very proud of them. We're going to call them up. Mr. Ballone's going to give the certificates out, and then we'll hang out for a picture, yes? That works? All right. So first up is Riley Colangelis. Great work, my dear. Just hang out up here. Or you want him to come up after? Yeah, come on right up here. Bradley Donito. Great job, Bradley. Thomas Fitzgerald. Get it to him tomorrow. Ananya Iyer. Right up here. I don't believe he's here tonight, but Daniel Johnson. Harper Laso. Maddox Liang. I love that jacket. Anthony McCormick. Michaela Mitzak. Brady O'Rourke. Chaitra Pederelda. Neelan Ray. Congratulations. Isla Shah. Joseph Sheridan. Harsadak Singh. Sophia Smuklovsky. Anna Taranteva. Ilya Toman. Julia Tristow. Stepan Viktorivsky. Congratulations. Vedat Yasamali. Maria Yermushin. Leah Zhang. All right. Great work, everybody. Awesome job.
I love your boat. That's so cool. Great job, everyone. Bye. Thank you for coming. You're super.
We were gonna take a break in a few minutes. Mr. Balone had a couple of updates that he wanted to share with the parents and the students and make sure they heard it, and then we'll take a break and you all could take pictures, just a few more minutes. Again, you could leave if you'd like, but we'd like you to hear the cool things happening here. Okay, so student impact.
Okay, for student impact, this past month, Marlboro Elementary School held its 3rd annual book character pumpkin contest under the direction of Mrs. Lamoute, the media specialist. We do have a short video for you here to watch, and after you view the video, we also have examples of this pumpkin contest on the right side of the stage and the left side of the stage. Enjoy the video.
Each year, Marlboro Elementary holds a pumpkin book contest. Students can take part in this contest with their families at home, creating some of their favorite book characters as pumpkins. This is the 3rd year this has taken place, and each year there are 4 finalists chosen by teacher judges. This contest is always a huge success and shows off everyone's creativity.
Very, very cool. Artwork on display?
Yes, coming out of Marlboro Middle School, students in Mrs. Farrington's 8th grade general art class at Marlboro Middle recently learned about the pop art movement. Students were allowed to choose their own subject from pop culture, focusing on food items in their original packing. They did an awesome job elevating their favorite snack, candy, or drink and making it fine art. Also, from the YMCA, before and after care, during October, Defino Y Kids program was in full swing with a fully loaded schedule. Early in the month, the Defino program touched on topics such as National Custodian Appreciation Day and National Stop Bullying Day. Next, the Y Kids program at Defino took to the crafts as they created many October-themed projects. The students put their talents to the test as they participated in a pumpkin craft challenge, which required them to make a pumpkin out of random supplies. Students also took advantage of the warmer weather and went outside every chance they could. While outside, they participated in group nature walks, Gaga, and soccer. And that's all I have for that.
Thank you. Announcements.
Okay, so under announcements, on November 13th, MTPS hosted a community unity event in celebrating the strength and diversity of the community. It was very successful. We estimate over 400 participants and attendees enjoyed food trucks, musical performances, and student presentations. Our bands played, both bands and choirs, at the middle school level, and of course they graced us with their fine music that they've created. We do appreciate the students who also presented for us. They presented on just about anything that was unique to them. Maybe it was, we had some students performing karate moves. We had some cultural tables with student presentations. We had a robotics table. PTAs and PTOs coordinated, and they had some great activities in a separate room. It was a very successful evening. The other really nice, interesting piece from that evening was the letters that you see here. Each school, because Marlboro has 8 letters in it and we have 8 schools, each school decorated a letter to their unique abilities or what represented them to be unique in their school community, using the theme of respect. And then we brought all of those letters to the event. Each principal and or school administrator explained what their letters represented and how all of their students came together and teachers to create these letters. So it's now here represented at the board meeting to really just have an ongoing theme of kindness, respect, community, and unity in Marlboro. So we hope to do this again next year, and thank you all who attended. Especially, we had full attendance. Every single board member was there, so I do appreciate your support in that evening, and it was certainly a success, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Balone, and it was a beautiful event. And thank you to everybody who attended, including all the board members. Thank you so much. Just 2 other things under announcements, and then we'll take a short break. First one is I'd like to congratulate the Board of Education winners for the that will begin their term in January. So Mrs. Danielle Balomo, Mr. Brian Cohen, and Mrs. Jenna Carraro. So congratulations to you. They'll be sworn in at the reorg meeting that will be on January 7th. So congratulations. And the other one is, it's just, you know, as we volunteer our time and the board members, you know, spend months here, every month together, and then in committee meetings, it's always nice to recognize when they're spending their actual birthday here. I've done it, Annette's done it, I know some other people, so happy birthday to Dr. Miskowitz. And on that note, we're going to take a 10-minute break, so if you all want to take pictures or look around, we welcome that, and we'll reconvene. Okay, we're going to get started.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I made it.
We all make it hopefully to the next year.
You got it. You got it. That's what
Okay. Roll call?
I can't tell you how many of my friends have passed away.
My stepdad's 90.
Roll call vote, Mrs. Belomo?
All he does is say that.
Here. Yeah.
He has 2 friends.
Mrs. Gandhi?
That's what my mother used to say that.
Mr. Hyatt?
Here.
Mr. Olansky?
Here.
Mrs. McCormack?
Here.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Here.
Mr. Petruno? And Mrs. Mendez?
Here. Okay, school bus driver and building maintenance personnel.
So all abstracts were run and all have privileges in good standing.
Thank you. And then the 2025-2026 school year budget calendar.
Yep, so this was the same calendar that was presented to you tonight was shared with you through email. So similar to last year, it's just basically an outline of what to expect with the next months to come regarding the 25-26 budget. Can't believe I'm saying that year already. So as normal, what we do this month is we, go through our ASSA and then we start our enrollment projections. We begin discussions with the principals. We start sending out budget sheets to all the departments so they can get started on, what they anticipate. And then as the months to come, you'll see we'll have budget discussions with Michael regarding certain areas of the budget. And then we'll also start having discussions with the departments in December and January. And as those discussions are happening, we'll have the discussions at the board meetings as well. I think we have about 5 or 6 budget discussions for next year's board meeting calendar. And then February is usually around the time where we get our state aid numbers. Once we get our state aid numbers, that's really the last piece we need as far as putting a whole budget together. And then that's when we'll produce binders to all of you to have a physical copy of the whole budget. And this way we can start having those conversations in depth, one-on-one, personally, in public, whatever, is convenient for everybody in here. After that is when we would put the tentative budget adoption up, and that's usually in March. That's when we'll have the tentative budget adoption. That should be the preliminary budget that's being submitted to the county for approval. And then after that is completed, we will just wait for the county to approve or have us make changes. If we make changes, in May we come back with a different budget for the final hearing and we outline what changed. And if nothing changed, then it's the same budget in March that goes back on in May for final adoption.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just for all of us, including the incoming board members, Mr. Caravello will give us a binder with all of sorts of really important and invaluable information. And I do encourage all board members to meet with Mr. Caravello if you can, right? Sometimes I'll spend hours with him in his office. I know some other board members have done that and just asking a million questions as we go through line by line. And so you don't have to, but it's super helpful. So for anybody coming in to the board next year or for us currently, it's just helpful to make an informed decision. Thank you. Okay, moving on to public comments.
So I have none on my list. Would anybody like to speak? Mrs. Bono?
Hi, Farah Bono. I'm actually here speaking on behalf of one of my colleagues who I saw on the agenda tonight listed for retirement, Miss Laura Blake. And I 25 years of service. We have sat together. I consider us almost sisters because of our sister school scenario from Robertsville and Asher. Laura and I have worked together. We ran the Star Spangled Banner Day, the National Anthem Day, where Robertsville and Asher come together. And for the past 25 years, she has served the students of Marlboro with her kindness, her respect, and her love for our community. And I just have to thank her for all her years, and I'm going to miss you at our meetings. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Mrs. Blake. I know there's going to be comments later, but I just want to say thank you. Anybody else want to speak before we close public comments? Mr. Pollack?
Hi, my name's Adam Pollock. I live at St. Lawrence Way in Marlboro. I've been a resident of Marlboro for 13 years, and I have 2 daughters in the district. So the reason I'm speaking tonight is because I want to tell you why I'm happy, why I'm proud, how embarrassed I am, and an appeal to you all. So why am I happy? I'm happy because this election season is over, which I'm sure you all are also. It feels like campaigning started very early this year and it got dirty and uncomfortable really fast. It also felt like the board meetings were not productive in getting anything done that impacted the students of Marlboro during election season. So a lot of bickering and a lot of one-upsmanship, but not a lot of education progress, so I'm happy that that's over. Why am I proud? I'm proud of events like Community Unity Day. Thank you, Mr. Balone, for hosting, and thank you to the administration and the board members for participating. After a tough election season, for all of you to show up and show your support for the community, it sends an important message. I'm also just proud of the education my daughters are receiving in Marlboro. In every interaction that I have with the teachers, the administrators, the bus drivers, the security guards, you name it, everyone has the students' best interests in heart. So you feel it when you are interacting with the people in the district that work here, which is why it is so perplexing, why I am also so embarrassed. I'm embarrassed by how this board acts towards each other, both in these meetings and on social media. I'm embarrassed how our district is portrayed and the lack of responsibility some of you are showing publicly. I'm embarrassed by the name calling. I'm embarrassed by the lack of grace some of you show each other. I'm embarrassed that some of you are unwilling to talk to each other face to face to find where you agree, but instead you blast each other on social media. I get that many of you feel wronged. Some of you feel wronged by the past superintendent and what happened with COVID. Some of you feel wronged because you've been called an extremist or your spouses have been verbally attacked on Facebook, or you've been accused of promoting the sexualization of children, or you've had disgusting signs that say horrible things about you put in front of the schools in town, or you've been accused of wanting to ban books, or you've been accused of wanting to allow inappropriate sexual books into the schools, or you've been accused of being pro-Hamas, or even an anti-Semite. So I get it, it all sucks, and it's wrong, but I implore you all to remember that it is not about you. You were elected to be on this board because the town thought you would represent the town, the residents, and most importantly, support the students in the district. You have a responsibility to not embarrass the town. I'm embarrassed because I have to say this. Everyone needs to do better. So my appeal to you all and to the new board members who are coming on the board next year, please take the temperature down. Do more things that make the town happy and proud and less things that embarrass us. The election results should be sending a message. We need to change the dynamics. We voted to change the dynamics. Less politics, less of what you disagree on, more on what you all agree on. Focus on the agreements. Focus on making progress for the students and for the schools in Marlboro. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. Appreciate it. I did just want to say 2 things, and anybody else, if you feel like you want to say anything, please do. Just 2 things. I do want to say that I am more than happy and thrilled the election and campaign is over. It was really not great for any board members. I, too, was embarrassed just by seeing all of the things. And so that's why I tried to shut social media down and not really comment, never comment really, or whatever, but it's not about me. I do want to say the other thing, though, that was important to just say. While all of that was happening, we were still focused on education. So there were still a lot of good work, and I don't want to take away from the great work that Mr. Balone, Mr. Caravello, Mrs. Gross, Mrs. Tyrone, the board members, we were still working behind the scenes. There were still policies being revised. And so while that felt like, or sometimes it feels like when people see a glimpse of us at 3 hours at a clip once a month, that's not who we are. And so you're right that social media is crazy. I went to training on what can I do. I asked Mr. Gross, and everybody does not lose their right to freedom of speech, and so I leave it at that. But what I will say is I just want to respect and appreciate everything you said, because a lot of the things you said I agree with. I just want to say I don't want to take away from the fantastic work that they've been doing, because they work really hard. And so, but thank you for speaking, because I'm with you on a lot of that. So thank you. Yes, there's one response.
So I didn't want to, and you know, I get it that you guys are all doing stuff behind the scenes and making progress, but perception is reality. And what I would recommend is seriously, like, show what you guys are doing. Be happy about what you're doing. Show, if you're going to post pictures of stuff that's going on, have it be about the town, have about what you guys are doing, as opposed to what is being represented, because people are looking at this stuff when they are deciding if they want to move here, if they want to start a business here, if they want their kids to go to these schools. You represent us. So please think about that when you guys are doing whatever you're doing publicly, because it's not helpful to the parents who are in the town. It's definitely not helpful to the administration or the teachers or anybody or any, you know, you're representing us. Don't embarrass the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Go ahead.
Real quick, I just want to thank Mr. Pollack for coming up and saying something that needed to be said tonight, so thank you, sir.
I would like to respond to, as you know, because your daughters are in my troop and in the school that I'm involved in, the parent organization, we were at community unity night actually with your daughters, and we're teaching these young children about respect. And we are posting pictures about that great work that we're doing in other aspects of life, but it has been extremely difficult to bring that same thing that you know of individual board members and the life that they live outside of this board back to the table here because of the hostility that is actually in the room.
Anybody else? Okay. Motion to close public comments. I have a second. Michael? All in favor? Everybody? Any opposed? Okay. Public comments is closed. Thank you. Moving on to communications.
I have none.
HIB?
HIB report from the time period October 11th, 2024 through November 14, 2024, there were 8 incidents.
Thank you. Upcoming meeting dates. The next meeting is Tuesday, December 17th. That's a regular meeting. And Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 is our reorganization meeting, when the new board members are sworn in and they take their oath, and then a new president and vice president are elected. Okay. Approval of minutes resolution. Ashley?
Be it resolved, the minutes of the following meeting be approved as submitted. October 15, 2024, regular and executive. I so move.
Have a second? Michael? Roll call, please.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
Mrs. Paloma?
Yes.
Mrs. Gandhi?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Olansky?
Yes.
Mrs. McCormack?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mendez?
Yes. The Secretary of Business Administrators report.
So this is the submission of the Board Secretary's monthly certification for the month ending October 31st, 2024.
Which includes the payroll certification.
Yep, this is the payroll certification for the month ending for October of 2024.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to committee reports. Special Education, Dr. Miskowitz.
A meeting of the Special Education Committee was held on November 4th, and the following agenda items were discussed. Number 1, parent feedback from 2024 for the ESY. There were 121 students in the program. 48 parents responded to the survey. 90% of the parents responded positively to the change to a 4-day program. Suggestions for improvement were more communication from the teachers, providing field trips for the students, possibly looking to scope to help pay for the trips, parents liked having more contact hours than previous years. A few parents stated that they would prefer 5 days a week. The second agenda item that we looked at was the staff feedback. 100% of the staff was very satisfied with the way the program operated this year. We will be getting the possible dates for ESY sooner than last year. This will give the parents more time to adjust their schedules and plan for camp if they want to come to ESY or go elsewhere. ERI development program, the program will be expanded to Marlboro Middle School for the 25-26 school year. We also discussed briefly the NJSLA test scores for the students, the special ed students. And we spoke briefly about the overall test scores. Mrs. Tyrone will provide us with a little more specificity, minus student information, of course. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the policy committee. So a couple of updates for us. We'll start with the today's events. So today was the appeal for the injunction that was placed against policy 5756. It took place in the courthouse in Newark, New Jersey. Mr. Gross will speak to that in a moment, but he delivered an oral argument regarding the appeal that was filed back quite some time ago when we were under Mr. Zittermer at the time, but the board had requested for an appeal, and so we did. Along with our appeal were Manalapan, Middletown, and Hanover. So those districts are also as part of this, as you all may know at this point. So we were all there in the courthouse. Some of the board members that are here now attended. And I know, Mr. Lalansky, you watch it on the live stream version. So, Mr. Gross, I'll turn over to you for a moment.
Thank you. Yeah, the oral argument took place this morning, and obviously this issue just revolves around the injunction that was issued by the Superior Court judge here in Monmouth County. Basically, that injunction was supposed to stay in effect until the Division in Civil Rights made a determination in a case that was filed by the state against our district and 3 others. There has been no progress in that Division of Civil Rights case, which is one of the major points that we raised before the judge this afternoon. And because of that lack of movement, basically that temporary injunction has become a permanent injunction. That's why we were arguing at the minimum that the injunction be lifted, at least with the aspect of permitting the district to do something with the policy as far as a rescission, which other districts had been permitted to make. That rescission of 5756 in its entirety, once the state had conceded the fact that that is not a mandatory policy. So we made that argument before the judge this morning. We also sought as further action, or even beyond just the ability to give the board the right to rescind, we also argued that the policy should be, as amended, be implemented, since it does not violate the laws against discrimination as is claimed by the state in their application before Judge Bauman in Monmouth County last year. Hopefully there will be a decision by the 3-judge panel who heard the case this morning. Usually it would take a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, but again, given the holiday season, I can't really anticipate with any certainty how much time it's going to take for them to render a decision. For purposes of other explanations and board options, certainly we will discuss those in executive session, but anything that I'm saying here in the public is something that I would have said and did say this morning on the record with regard to the oral argument, which was a matter of public record.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Mr. Gross. The argument delivered this morning was, it was really well stated, and the points that you made, you know, I think they really drove home the point that, you know, the length of the stay that we've been on from the injunction is excessive, and you know, I'm hoping for a positive outcome from it. And I just wanted to thank you for the work you put in this morning.
And I just want to second that. I know only Aldo, myself, Valentina, and Ashley chose to come today, but you really represented our feelings well, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so policies, just so you know, that will be coming up for first read, just so you get a little glimpse of what you're going to see, and then board members, you'll get it in advance. I'm going to make some edits to it, and then you'll see it come your way. You'll see policy 2200, which is curriculum content, just a couple of things that have changed with language when it comes to, it has still outdated language with the learning standards that we have to update, so you'll see that coming your way. 8420, which is emergency and crisis situations. And so Mr. Balone did some work with the Director of Security and all of those things, and so you'll see some of that coming your way. Same with policy 8467, which is firearms and weapons. And then another one would be 9181, which is the volunteer athletic coaches and assistants or advisors. So those are some that are coming your way. And the last thing I just wanted to touch on is that we have been talking about a policy for artificial intelligence since it's here, and what are we going to do and how are students going to use it. And so we had a couple of preliminary meetings. We also met with somebody from the internal infrastructure group. We talked about AI hallucinations. We talked about what would staff training look like, but didn't outline any of it. We just had conversations about key topics, how we're going to monitor usage, what tools would be used, would there be firewalls in place, how would they cite resources, what does intellectual property look like. We had a couple of these conversations regarding this. What's malicious use of AI look like? What kind of policies would we update, like code of conduct, plagiarism, all of these things. And so we had those topics, but we paused now. We met earlier today before this meeting to say that there's a new board that will be coming in, and we want to make sure that other board members, since this is a huge topic, have the ability to opine, weigh in, and what would that path forward look like. And so we did a lot of that conversation. We might talk a little bit more about it, but we're going to have a new board come in too, and they will also obviously weigh in, and it will be a big initiative here. And so, so anyway, we just wanted you all to know that the conversations were had because it's here and people are using it. So we want to make sure we're talking about responsible use. Did you want to say anything? Oh, okay. Okay, so that was the committee updates. Thank you, Dr. Miskowitz. Okay, so we are now moving to the discussion of subrates.
Thank you. I just wanted to help structure and organize this public conversation. Mr. Caravello and I, and also Mrs. Tyrone, organized information for you on substitute rates for two sections of our district. One is long-term substitutes, and the other is nurses. I think for purposes of, again, organizing this discussion, perhaps we should treat them separately in the discussion. So we did share with you, if we can start with long-term sub rates, it says LTS rates at the top of the graphic. The information, as you know, you have the background there. It has become increasingly difficult to staff long-term substitutes in our school district. And when I define long-term substitutes, we know our daily subs, right, when a teacher calls out sick for a day or two, those substitutes are contracted through ESS, right? So that is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about when a teacher goes on a leave, could be for maternity, long-term illness, things of that nature. We hire long-term subs as Marlboro employees. And there's also a distinction with what's called a replacement teacher. That's different. That's when a teacher essentially covers for, let's say, an entire year, and that person goes on the teacher guide, right, on the salary guide. So long-term subs do not go on the teacher salary guide, just so we understand who we're talking about here. They're longer placements in a particular classroom, but they are not going on the teacher guide. And what we've provided for you here is information related to the surrounding Freehold Regional districts, the districts that feed into the Freehold Regional, including Freehold Regional. And you essentially have two bar graphs for each school district. I'll use MTPS as an example because I can speak to it pretty intimately and I understand it because we're here. So if you go all the way to the right side of that graphic, you see the two bars. You see the navy blue bar, which says 150, and then the lighter blue bar, which says 207. I will admit there's rounding, so it's actually supposed to be 206.50, but we'll say 207 for argument's sake for this discussion. Here at MTPS, if a teacher is in a position less than 30 days and also does not have a standard certificate, there is a $150 per day rate paid to that individual. If a candidate comes to us with a standard teaching certificate, they are paid $206.50, so the 207 rate after, I think it's either that 30 or 20 day mark. So the most a long-term sub can make in this school district is $207 a day. And what happens when we get to a position, so 2 years ago, it was very difficult just to find candidates in general. That's no longer the case. We are finding candidates and we're finding qualified candidates. But what happens is they sit across the table from us. We like them, they like us, they do a demo lesson, everything checks out, and when the principal sits down for a final, okay, we'd like to offer you the position, we're sending you up to HR, and we share with them the pay per day, they don't start with us. They go to the other places you see on this chart because they can make $341 at Freehold Regional, they can make $306 at Manalapan, $280 at Freehold Borough, $300 at Howell, etc. So we are clearly not competitive in our daily rate for our long-term subs, and our recommendation for this group of individuals is to raise them to $300 a day. So that's essentially, in a nutshell, that sheet.
I know I had 6,000 questions when we were reviewing the agenda and discussing it. I just wanted to clarify something again for myself. When you were giving dates to differentiate between people that could have been hired in January at a certain point, they go on the guide and come in at a certain rate, and then when they don't go on the guide, that's who you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay, so the people, this chart here, and I know, by the way, thank you, I know we had asked to include like surrounding towns. I think we all discussed that was a good idea, so I appreciate you including that. When you have the surrounding towns, though, and I know we're at 300, which you're proposing 300 would be at Howell. Do you feel like that's the number that would bring more people in?
I do, because the conversations I've had with our principals, they even, our candidates, they're not worried about $5, $10 here and there, or $20. If we can get them to the 300 range, they're still at that point. The difference is here, these people are grading, they're lesson planning, they're contacting parents, they're doing the job.
Yeah,
they're teaching, right? They're doing the full job. And when that rate comes out to something like $30,000 a year, and that's what it works out to be, they're not coming, and I don't blame them. What the 300 gets them to is the $60,000 range, which is still slightly under step one, but they're long-term subs. So a lot of times it's a foot in the door, and they're saying, sure, $60,000, I can work for that, I can live for that and pay my bills, and still we're putting our students in their care. So we want them to be adequately lesson planning, grading, contacting parents, in some cases holding parent-teacher conferences. So if we think paying $30,000 for a teacher, in essence, to do that will benefit us, it won't, because we see it won't, and we can't expect that will happen.
Absolutely.
Mr. Malone, I have a question. $300 a day, certified or non-certified? Because you have a breakdown here, right? So we're at 150 or 207.
Both certified. The 207 is they have a standard certificate.
So if they have a standard certificate, they'd still be at 3, or they'll be more than 300?
I just want to keep them the same.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to differentiate
Okay.
anymore.
So
Actually, I have a question also. Right now, short-term subs are going through ESS, right?
Daily subs, yes.
Okay. Is there a difference between short-term and daily?
You could say we don't really call them short-term, I would call them a daily sub. That comes through ESS.
Okay.
Yes.
So, that means health benefits, workers' comp, and all that is going through ESS, or is that going through?
Yeah, they're not our employees at all.
Okay. What's the sub rate for daily subs?
I believe it's like one.
It's 130 maybe?
Yeah, we
I'd
raised
have
that. I
to
think it's
look.
like 125, 130 a day.
I think it's more than that.
Or it might be 150. I don't
Yeah,
have the
think it was
numbers
like
in front of me for daily.
If I'm like on the top of my head, I think I remember like 150, and then they take about 135 out of that. Like, $15 goes to ESS, and then subs take.
I know the 150 rate was for the ESS.
But that was
floater.
2 years ago. So
Because
I don't know if
there's a
that changed.
29%, so it's like 137.50 or something it comes out to total.
Okay. So right now, long-term subs are basically looking at what daily subs are getting.
If they do not have their standard, yes.
Okay. And Vin, is there any implications like to the budget if we were to approach this $300 a day number, and when factoring in benefits and?
Well, there's a lot of scenarios that can play out in this. Right now, as it stands, when we cover, positions like this, if we cannot find anybody due to the low rate, we're polling teachers based off of their missed preps, and how their missed preps are calculated. It could be based according with how high their salary is. So you can look at more than 300 a day, any day, to cover a class that you may need. You might be less. But benefits is a 90-day period, so you would get benefits after 90 days. But if they're filling a position that's on an unpaid leave with an employee whose salary is basically still in the budget and is not being paid, and they're paying the portion of their benefits, then this would make the most sense. But then you might have scenarios where, someone's on a paid leave and you need this and you're paying their benefits, and then after 90 days you would have to offer this. So it's really a balancing act. I think the main issue here, though, is just finding the talent to walk through the door to cover these classes without stretching our current teachers thin when it comes to pulling them out of their preps and stuff.
Are we using a lot of the teachers with their preps? Because I thought the fill rate with ESS had gone significantly up since, like,
yeah, the daily subs are not the issue. It's really the long-term consistency of getting someone in there for a longer period of time than just one day.
How many do we get? How many long-term subs have we needed in the past? Approximate, just
like
around.
at a time. Like
It varies.
It could vary. I mean, sometimes you can have like 10 staff members out, and sometimes you can have maybe just 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right now we're struggling at the middle schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest.
Because it's a different scheduling as well.
Yeah.
I just had, 2 questions on the budget piece. One is typically, right, when I'm hiring, I'll project for 25, right? Like I've been doing numbers of how many people or open recs we have, right? And then I'll use that number as the budget or the guide, knowing that it might vary. Do you have that? By the way, I'm on board with the 300, so I'm not questioning it for that, because I agree that we have to be competitive. But do we have a target? Because to the point that Aldo had, I was just curious on the budget. Are we going to get to March and say, we allotted for X number, now we have to cut somewhere else because of this influx? That's all I'm asking. Are there like projected numbers we're working towards?
Well, we're always navigating the budget throughout the year with transfers, because there's always unanticipated things that happen. When we submit a budget to the state, we have to go by the position control roster. And so in that position control roster, every position needs to be accounted for, and every person that is in this district needs to be budgeted with their exact amount, their full-time enrollment.
Got it.
So you never could really anticipate when someone's going to go out on a paid leave or an unpaid leave. You just have to budget for that staff member and their salary. When instances like that arise, you may have breakage in that line if they're on an unpaid leave to utilize for items like this, if someone needs to come in and be a long-term replacement. Or you may be hit with like an unexpected expense where now someone goes down on a paid leave due to medical illness and you need to and I'll
Mhm.
cover that class.
Yeah.
You're covering that class now just in the form of mispreps, which can add up to
Mhm.
almost like 300, 400, 500 a day extra that you're paying,
Right.
your current staff. The only difference here is the benefits piece, really.
Yeah.
After the 90-day trigger.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Mendez, to your point, I think you're looking for a number. Right now, we have 8. So
You have-
I was going to say under 10. I just looked it up. It's 8.
You said 8, okay. Yeah, and that's okay. I was just curious, right? Because to your point, I didn't know if you had to budget for every staff member and assume, right? Obviously, we don't want that to happen.
We budget for salaries, but we also budget for sub costs. So you budget for sub costs, mainly daily sub costs. Sometimes you can pull from that for something like this and transfer it over to the salary account line if they're going to become a long-term leave replacement. But now with the expanded sick leave law, you're always going to see sub transfers because it's just the reoccurrence of people calling out is
Mhm.
more frequent because under the law you're allowed to use
Right.
the sick
Yeah.
your
And
sick
just-
leave for more things.
So,
Oh, go ahead.
like, I'm all for giving, substitutes and teachers, like, that's where, in my opinion, like, that's where the pay needs to go. I'd rather see it, like, go to the boots on the ground than, no offense, but to the administration. Where does, like you said, it was close to step 1 on the salary guide, like, is it, like, so close that it would cause any discord between,
No, it's about $8,000.
Under. It's,
Yeah, I would assume.
Yeah, I think it's about $8,000 below what step 1 would be, so they would not be making as much as an entry-level step 1 teacher, but it would be comparison and close to where,
But
because
if
right now I think
it's-
they're being paid $30,000 to be on the
If they're
207 a day.
over 90 days, though, then they would receive benefits and
Yeah,
all
over
that.
90 days, that's when the benefits would trigger.
Okay.
I don't know if this was answered already, but at what point in time do we consider it long-term?
I think it's more than, is it
You're
30?
saying what's the day count?
Yeah.
So that's something we'll have to determine based on.
Because the implication
rate.
to a student, whether a teacher is in for, 10 days or 30 days, is significantly different.
Yep.
And the caliber or qualifications of a substitute for someone who's actually replacing a grade level teacher for a significant period of time, to pay someone this rate for a 8-day substitute is significantly different than paying them to teach a child for 3 months.
What is the current threshold to qualify
I
for a
think
long-term?
it's 30 days.
I thought it was 30 days, yeah.
Yeah.
30 business days or calendar?
And if
Days
the-
in the seat.
And if the buildings know that it's just going to be a temporary period where it's like, whether like 5 days or 10 days, they'll utilize the resources they have, whether it be the floater sub in their building or just covering it just to get back to the time period where the teacher comes back. This is like a 30-day trigger, like when it's going to be like a month or more.
So that would be where it is is 30 days, because what I would not like to see is, when a substitute knows that this rate is on the table, they start negotiating at 12 days, 10 days, 9 days. Well, I want the long-term rate because I'm going to be there for a continuous period of time.
Yeah. No, that would be very clearly defined for them. And even if it's 1 day short,
Thank you.
you don't.
And that's when we communicate with the principal. If they know it's only going to be 4 days, utilize your floater or go through ESS. You don't need, something like this.
And you do want the continuity of instruction with a person that's going to be there on a daily basis. You don't want to have changes every few days. So going this route, like Aldo said, I'm also for it, and Val,
How does it work with the MTEA? Like, do they then join the bargaining unit, or do they not as a...
Not as a long-term sub. The ones who go on guide, which we're not talking about here.
Okay, so once you go on guide is when you would become... Okay.
And this is my last question, I'm sorry. If we vote, I know we're going to vote on this, right? Correct? That's what you're looking for us to do, vote tonight, or you're just bringing it to our attention?
Yeah, we're bringing it as a discussion, and we were hoping to put it on the next meeting for
Got it.
for
Okay.
approval.
So if we vote yes to it on the December meeting, would we then expect to see a higher dollar amount allotted somewhere in the budget discussion for this?
Yeah, this would have to be accounted for. And then we would think that we would at least want to start at January 1 when we roll out the minimum wage updates and all the things that are on usually the reorg, like all the update of the sub rates, because we do it by calendar year, I believe. So we would we would want to try to start this mid-year just to try to fill some of those positions that we can't. Because again, we're already paying more than 300 sometimes when we're covering with the missed preps. But this would have to be budgeted for, yeah.
So what would happen with existing long-term subs?
You mean if someone is in a position
Right
starting
now?
At the
January?
moment, right, like.
Yeah, at that point, we would have to,
Give them.
yeah, we wouldn't go backwards, but we would give them starting.
So
Yeah,
start in
we wouldn't
January.
retroact them to the beginning of the year. We would just start from the day we approve it at the new rate.
Okay.
Any other?
Just
Okay.
want to say I'm on board. I believe it's, for all the reasons everybody else stated, it's a good idea. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I agree too. We've got to get competitive, and there's probably a pipeline of talent for us as well that we're missing out on, so it's important.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you so much for giving us the information and sharing that with us. Appreciate it.
And then so we have one more. So the next one, that the other handout is similar in discussion, is just a different section. So it's your daily nurse sub rates. So right now, as you can see on the back, this is a position that we have under contract with ESS, but we are thinking about pulling it out of ESS and saving ourselves the service fee. Mainly because, as you can see in the neighboring, really not neighboring districts, but service providers that we utilize when we can't find in-house resources or ESS can't find any nurses, because I believe the pool is very slim for most substitute contractors right now. They cannot find anybody that wants to do school nursing on a daily basis unless you go out to a contracted agency. Right now our daily nurse rate is 185, which is very, very low. We actually have, I believe, like a few internal candidates that are on call as a daily sub that will not even take this position because it's so low, and that if we were to raise it, we might be able to have more success with in-house candidates. But you can see, like, from some of the providers we use, like MOESC, Delta, Biata, Home Care, they're well above where we are even at. I'm not saying we could pay that money, but I'm just saying by just standing still and just utilizing those contractors when it comes for field trips or extracurriculars or just daily fills, even by doubling the rate or raising the rate as we're proposing to $325, it'll still save us money in the long run, because right now, as you can see, we can be paying anywhere between $400 to $500 at a time with one of these contractors.
What kind of absentee rate do the nurses have?
Yeah, well, actually, how many nurses is there total? And then, yeah, to what Sue's asking, because that is a good question.
Approximate.
So I believe we have, 10 nurses and one floater nurse?
We have 10 nurses and one floater nurse.
And how many, like, the absences? Like, what are we looking at, like, monthly?
I'm not sure if they're frequently out as far as coverage-wise.
They're not frequent. No.
I know it's loud. It's okay. We're not that loud.
It's not as frequent, but trips, you have to have a nurse on every trip. So anytime a student trip goes out, whether it doesn't matter the size, you have to have a nurse on that trip. So that adds up significantly. And we have multiple trips going out. Sometimes we're trying to organize it, but it's hard to say to people, oh, you can't go out because, there's no nurse available. ESS basically gets no nurses at this time. So we go through ESS first, but then that doesn't happen. There's no nurse. So we have to go to one of these outside providers.
And we had a meeting with ESS to see what else they could provide resources-wise. And I believe they transferred us to basically a sister company. And basically it was everything but nursing. It was OT, PT, BCBAs. It was everything that we didn't really have a need for. But basically nursing was nothing that they could provide. And if they would, of course, it would be a service fee. So we just thought it would be smarter just to maybe take our daily rate, increase it to where it's more marketable, and then, have our own nursing, our daily nurses take some of our positions.
Could I ask you? Oh, go ahead, Aldo.
All right, so I'm sorry, Val.
No, it's okay.
Essentially, the ESS fill rate then is extremely low for this.
They just don't have any nursing on staff in their pool.
And
They just
so
don't have any nursing.
then when, okay,
They-
so when we can't fill through ESS, then we're using one of these other providers at these rates
Yes.
that are on the graph?
Correct, because if there's a need for, well, nursing, there has to be ones on every trip, but then there's sometimes that
But
you may
trips
need a
are
one-on-one
planned
nurse
in
for just a
advance,
student
right?
going on the trip.
How do you then, how do you source the candidate? So if you're going to go to the 325 and you're not, are you saying you wouldn't have to go through these companies here, or you
No,
would still?
so that we have a lot of nurses that want to be and work in Marlboro.
How do they hear about it? I see it on like the website.
So through all these, through other agencies, a lot of people work through other agencies because you can see that they're making
Yeah.
significant more money. They don't obviously take home that money that we're paying out. Yeah, I know a lot of nurses actually work after school for a lot of companies as well. So there are people that want to work in the district. They just won't take the day for 185. And you understand when they can go through Beata and get paid almost double.
So Mary Elizabeth, if they're at 325, which I'm there with you, because 185 is like insanity in my head. It's just a lot, right? They're doing a lot and we need them. At the 325, if we're like, yep, let's do it, how would you I'm sorry, I think I didn't understand it. How would you source them then? Would it still be through here, or I see positions open on the website?
Correct.
Do they apply there and then you have your
we-
own pool of people?
We would pull this out of ESS because if I'm raising a rate, I don't want to be paying 29%.
Correct, that's what
now
I
on
was
a higher
asking, because
rate.
I don't want to double pay, right? So in hopes, at the 325, it would boost your pool of candidates, then you don't have to pay these extra fees or
No.
whatever you're paying, is that
So
correct?
it would be similar to going back like 5 years ago when I used to supervise the nurses. It was very similar. Like we had our own pool of nurses, and what I would do is I would call, when we had absences, call through those nurses, and it would be through us. So it was through Marlboro. So although it's very different than substitute teaching, just because it's such a small pool and it's more one-on-one conversations with them, we would do the same thing, like bringing people in, and they would be our substitute nurses and get paid through Marlboro.
Yep,
But
and-
we would bring them in, we would interview, we would get all those qualifications under.
Makes sense, and then they would be paid by us, by the
Correct.
district directly, eliminating these excessive fees potentially, right, to the other third-party provider, who's then taking a cut of that money. The 325 or whatever it is would go directly to the
Correct.
person. Yep, okay, thank
So-
you.
But wait, just so I understand correctly, these prices, these are the contracted rates that we pay these providers. This is not the pay that the nurses are.
Correct, that's just to the contracted provider for a daily rate.
And then they take care of, like, the workers' comp and everything.
Yeah,
on
they're
there,
set up as a
payroll,
vendor, they
insurance.
provide us insurance, they provide us with their BRC, and, that's basically a contract, it's a service
Okay.
provider.
So we're basically taking the money and we're paying the nurses because they wouldn't get
Directly.
325 if they went through an agency. So it's a win-win for us as well as for the nurses that we hire.
And we
So
wanna-
That's the way I understand it.
that's
So
the
we're
way
actually
that
saving money, and
we are.
we're going to be more
Right, 'cause-
appealing to nurses.
And if we
because-
have, honestly, if we have candidates in the pipeline that want to work here, and ESS is telling us they have no one in the pool for us, I don't want to contribute my nurses to now their pool, to where other districts can pull them, and I'm also paying a service fee for them to be here,
Right.
so I'd rather just
Right.
pull it out and make
Anything
it
to not
internal. again.
outsource.
And we're
So
paying,
I'm
and we're
on-
paying we're eliminating the fee to that piece, to the vendor, and we're
Yeah.
able to pay them directly, and they may be
Which,
even
yeah.
making less based on whatever fees they take out from them. That's why I was
Based on
asking.
the subs, I think it's like 10%, right? If they're paying 150 and the teachers are getting 135, so roughly $40 off the top of each of these, 50 off of one of them, right to the nurses. So yeah, I'm in agreement too. This would save the district money and also bring quality candidates.
What will happen if a nurse is out on long-term leave? How do you do that?
Well, usually we use our floater nurse if it's a long-term leave, but we would have to really post for that, I don't believe.
Is there still the stipend that nurses
I'm
were
talking about
receiving?
salary-wise, that's.
Yeah, like a long-term leave replacement, we would either utilize our floater nurse that's
Yeah.
under contract if they have available, like if they can fill that long-term of a placement, or
And
we
how
would
much
have to
do they
post.
get? That's what I'm saying, versus the daytime, the daily. This is
They're on
about
a
a daily
salary.
nurse.
Yeah, I believe
Like
they're,
the long-term would be, like we just discussed the teachers,
Mhm.
the long-term teachers that are not on the salary guide.
We generally use a floater who's on the salary, who's on salary.
Okay. Okay, and then replace her, have another floater wherever you need it. Yeah.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So you'll see on the agenda tonight, we have a situation, we have a long-term absence happening. So we found coverage for it, but we utilized the floater salary guide because we have a nurse's salary guide and then we have a floater nurse salary guide.
Thank you.
Mr. Petruno, you had a question?
Yeah, so just,
Stipends?
and forgive me if it's not even like something that we do anymore, but I know at the end of the pandemic, I remember there being like a stipend for nurses that had to be on call. Is that still going on? And just, if you can refresh my memory, and for those that weren't here at the time.
The only stipend we have now is for the lead nurse, correct, Mrs. Tyrone?
We have the lead nurse and we have actually the person who organizes all of the trips, all of the coverage.
Okay.
But you're right, we used to have like a nurse caller stipend that they used to call the
Right, back when we were doing
substitutes.
contact tracing, and there was someone on call like all the time, I think, right?
Yeah, that was during the, I think that was just a specialized stipend for
Okay.
that particular moment.
All right, and as far as the trips, just my last question, I mean, if, I'm assuming like field trips are planned in advance, is that something where you're scrambling last minute?
No, usually we have a list of field trips that we approve early on. It's just trying to secure that coverage of nursing. We were never able to do that with the 185.
With the 185,
Yeah.
people aren't gonna commit to it, that makes sense. Okay, all right, thank you.
Anybody else?
Just, I agree as well. Sounds like a plan.
Will that be on December's agenda also?
Yeah, we would put both of these on there.
Okay.
All right, just one last thing. How does this compare to what the nurse's salary starts at? If this was, like, if you take this rate and make it a full-time position, like, is it more than what a nurse would be starting at?
No.
Is it close?
Was it 1?
65,000, right? So what is I'd have to look at the contract. I don't have it in my head.
I don't have the contract in my head, but I know it's not 65,000 for starting step one.
I can look it up.
Yeah, if you could just let it, it's not a deciding factor, but just something I'd like to know before voting.
Dr. Miskowitz, did you have a question?
What kind of certification does the nurse have to have? Like a long-term sub only has, a substitute only has to have, 60 credits, I think. Well, how does that work with nursing? Do you know?
It has to be a registered nurse.
Okay.
For a substitute.
Okay.
Has to be a registered nurse.
Anyone else?
I just want to say I'm really glad that we're going to be upping the salary on both because it's ridiculously low. So, yeah.
I'm with you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to financial and business operations matters. Michael?
Financial and business operations matters. Superintendent of Schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, transfers. 2, list of bills. 3, secretary monthly reconciliation reports. 4, travel. 5, harassment, imitation, bullying, HIB report. 6, school bus emergency evacuation drill report. 7, acceptance of safety grant. 8, approval of agreement with Bayada Home Healthcare, Inc. for the provision of nursing services for case number 974. 9, donation. 10, donation. 11, donation. 12, home instruction. 13, acceptance of amended IDEA allocations for the 24-25 school year. 14, acceptance of amended ESEA allocations for the 24-25 school year. 15, settlement agreement. 16, further amended resolution, extension of contract with Pritchard Industries of Marlboro Township Board of Education's custodial services. 17, state contract purchases. I so move.
Thank you. Have a second? Ashley? Roll call, please.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno? Mrs. Belomo?
Yes.
Mrs. Gandhi?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mrs. McCormack?
Yes.
Mr. Olansky?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mendez?
Yes. Curriculum matters, Chad.
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval. 1, approval of NJ CUSAC district performance review. 2, amended interscholastic athletic competition winter sports 24-25 school year.
So move.
I so move. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a second? Ashley? Roll call, please.
Sorry, Ms. Mendez, who was the second?
Ashley.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno? Mrs. Palomo?
Yes.
Mrs. Gandhi?
Yes.
Mr. Alansky?
Yes.
Mrs. McCormack?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mendez?
Yes. Personnel matters, Aldo?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolutions for approval: disability retirement, retirements, resignation, employment, instructional assistants, employment school aides, employment mechanic, buildings and grounds staff, mechanic, groundskeeper, and maintenance mechanics, 24-25 school year. Amended hours and salaries, non-certificated staff, reassignment, transfer, and amended salary, curriculum, RISE coaches, curriculum Title I building facilitators, curriculum power coaches, curriculum power coach, curriculum power program parent academy planning committee. 15, curriculum reporting and data coordinators, curriculum data and technology coordinator, curriculum station facilitators for power program parent academy, curriculum ESL family literacy program coordinators, ESL family literacy facilitators, curriculum writing, ESL family literacy program facilitators, technology coordinators, curriculum coordinators for ELA, math, science, social studies, amended extracurricular activities advisor, stipend, mentor teachers, student practicum, substitute teachers, substitute bus driver, substitute bus attendant, paid medical disability leave, unpaid leave of absence, amended resolution, leave dates, I so move.
Thank you. Have a second? Michael? Roll call, please.
Before we roll call, so page 18, we just have to make some corrections. So action item number 7. The first salary is for Alan Geisy is going to be changed from $94,700 to $93,200. The second one is going to be changed from $50,800 to $50,500. And then Michael Risk for step 13 is changed from $76,900 to $75,400. And the reason for that is the heart icon below needs to be eliminated from the vote. It was not part of the new contract.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCormack?
Yes to all, abstain from 23.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Belomo?
Yes.
Mrs. Gandhi?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Alansky?
Yes.
Mr. Petruno?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mendez?
Yes. Retirement comments?
The first set of comments are for Mrs. Laura Blake. Laura Blake has announced her intention to retire from Marlboro Township School District after 43 years in education. She has served the students of Marlboro for 26 of those years, with 21 years at Asher Holmes Elementary School. She has worked with thousands of children and staff throughout the district, and she has certainly left a lasting impression through her music instruction, choral concerts, and her collaboration with colleagues across the district. Over her 46 years in education, she has worked with students of all ages from preschool through college as a band director, vocal, music teacher, and beyond. Her dedication and talent have made her a respected member of our faculty. However, her sense of humor and compassion have made her an esteemed colleague at Asher. You know who Mrs. Blake is if you visit our arrival or dismissal. Besides serving for years as the bus safety patrol supervisor, she also prides herself in having an extensive hat collection, which she utilizes daily to bring a smile to everyone's face. Whether it be a turkey for Thanksgiving, a patriotic top hat for Flag Day, or an actual foam giraffe for a typical Tuesday, Mrs. Blake's hat selection is just what an elementary school needs to get those smiles going during an early morning arrival or a rainy afternoon departure. Mrs. Blake also made it a point to infuse our school's core values of respectful, responsible, helpful, and honest leadership into her music lessons and performances for all grade levels. Additionally, she would often hear a curricular tidbit from a teacher and would decide to include that information in a music lesson to show that music is the language that can bring us together and help us learn all other subjects. Her passion and devotion to the arts and music education certainly shine during her lessons and concerts. The Asher community wishes Laura well on this new journey and cannot wait to hear about her traveling adventures to see her family, especially her sons. We will need to find someone else to send those techie emails to the staff and to adopt that hat collection, although no one will ever wear them quite like you did. Cheers, Mrs. Blake, to your health and happiness in retirement. Thank you for all that you have done for our community, and she's right in the back there, so thank you, Mrs. Blake.
Thank you.
And now retirement comments for Yvonne-Tina Delaglio. Mrs. Yvonne-Tina Delaglio has faithfully served the children of Marlboro Township Public Schools as an instructional assistant for the past 25 years. She has worked in several schools, with the majority of her time in district spent at the Abbott Early Learning Center, working in our preschool program. She recognized early on that she has a passion for preschool. In her time here, Tina has worked diligently to learn our ABA program and methods. She genuinely cares for the students she works with, taking the time to get to know them and their unique needs. Tina's dedication and commitment have made her a true asset to both the staff and students she works with. She noted that one of her proudest accomplishments is watching students learn and grow under her guidance. Tina takes great pride in having a positive impact on her students. She loves to see students learn and grow as she helps them become all they can be. In retirement, Tina is looking forward to continuing her learning, specifically in the field of autism-related therapy. She also hopes to pursue tennis, yoga, and lots of travel. Mrs. Delaglio's experience and dedication will be greatly missed. However, we all wish her a very happy and healthy retirement. And that was submitted by her principal, Mr. Perno. Thank you, Tina.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to policy development and community relations matters. Aditi?
The superintendent of schools submits the following resolution for approval. Second readings. Be it resolved that the following be approved for second reading before the Board of Education. P 3160, physical examination. P 4160, physical examination. P 5350, student suicide prevention. P 60 policy, so P 6620, petty cash. I so move.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Ashley? Roll call, please.
Dr. Miskowitz?
Yes.
Mr. Petrino? Mrs. Belomo?
Yes.
Mr. Hyatt?
Yes.
Mr. Alonsky?
Yes.
Mrs. McCormack?
Yes.
Mrs. Gandhi?
Yes.
And Mrs. Mendez?
Yes. I just wanted to clarify one thing, because I know it says the same titles. I just want to make sure that everybody understood that part. One was for teaching staff, physical examination, and the other one was support staff. Same language that was in both, but I just want to make sure people knew the difference, that's all. Okay, we're going to move to the liaison reports. So Freehold Regional, Chad?
There's no update for Freehold Regional this month.
Thank you. Annette's not here for the MEF, but I do want to say that we were recently with Mr. Balone in a PTA-PTO meeting, and there was a representative there, and he did say that they had selected a date for the Wizards, I believe sometime in April, but don't quote me, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but they did say that that was an upcoming event, and so I think that's exciting for everybody because I know the community enjoys that. Michael, Marlboro Township?
Sure. Township employees are asking residents to join them in a pajama drive for children in foster care. Pajamas, new with tags, infant to adult sizes are welcome. Donation boxes are at Rec Center and Town Hall accepted until December 6th. November 24th, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, is the Fall Holiday Farmers Market. Items to stock up for winter, Thanksgiving table and host gifts, and holiday shopping. December 1st is the 15th Annual Multicultural Day. This free event will feature performances, food, crafts, and more as we share our cultures. The state has been upgraded to a drought warning. No restrictions are in place. We remain under a Stage 3 fire warning, and no outdoor fires are permitted. More information has been sent to the town via email and can be found on the town website.
Thank you. Monmouth County School Boards? Okay, we'll come back to that. NJSBA?
We're looking forward to the delegate assembly next month, where we'll be going to represent Marlboro.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the school updates, which would be PTA, PTO, and also the school, or however you get that. So first one is Abbott, Chad?
Yes, I have an update from Mr. Perno. So students have enjoyed the many fall-themed events at school. They held a Halloween parade, a fall bash, and various other class parties. November, which we're into already, is Citizenship Month, and they're recognizing this in several different ways. One, students recently completed their civic duty by voting for the yearbook cover. They held a Veterans Day celebration where veterans from the school community were invited to participate in a flag raising. Students sang patriotic songs, learned what veteran is and why they're important to our community. Families were invited to send photos and brief descriptions of veterans and their families. That was a display in the foyer. Serves as a powerful reminder of the important role of veterans. And then finally, staff had been on the lookout all month long for students being good citizens. When, quote, caught, students can earn a special prize. Classes are also practicing good citizenship and working towards a special event at the end of the month. And that's it for Abbott.
Thank you. Aldo will hit you up twice, one from Monmouth County School Boards, if there's anything, and one for Asher.
Nothing to report from Monmouth County and from Asher. Thank you to Ms. Oren for sending the update today. Okay, so Asher's annual food drive kicked off at the end of October with our turkey trot. After weeks of receiving donations and with help from our PTA and 5th grade student ambassadors, we're in a great spot to begin putting baskets together for families in need, as well as making a donation to the food bank. We will have 2 new community collections in December. One is a fundraiser for CHOP's Pajama Day, as well as a collection once again for Small Miracles. Both causes benefit pediatric oncology patients. Keep an eye on your email for more information. The PTA Theater Week was held last week. It culminated in an amazing production which showcased the talent of our students. Congrats to all who participated. Our November character pillar is citizenship, and Asher has chosen to emphasize this through letters and cards written for veterans, as well as asking students to design a cape or superhero that embodies what a super citizen looks like in our community. We look forward to parent-teacher conferences and COGAT testing during the first week of December, as well as our 5th grade chorus concert and the PTA Holiday Boutique. Lastly, the entire Asher community would like to wish Ms. Blake good luck on her retirement, which is effective in the new year. Thank you, Mrs. Blake, for instilling in all of us a love for music as a language that can teach us about so many other important things in this world. We will miss you, your hat collection, and your daily inspiration through tech and music. Congratulations, and have a great time.
Thank you, Aldo. Defino with Dee Dee.
November just flew by at Defino. We started the month by stocking the fridge for our amazing staff, thanks to our first grade families for their support. We launched our 5th grade committee, who are working hard to create a series of wonderful experiences for our students. The first event is our 5th grade All-Star Bucks Cafe coming in December. We also held our second school store, and the kids absolutely love shopping for little treasures. It is so great to see them working on their math and money skills too. Last week were our school pictures. Thanks to our Picture Day heroes for putting the finishing touches to make sure our students looked their best. We ended last week with a staff challenge, Turkey in Your Pocket. Our teachers had an awesome time vying to be one of the last 8 standing, and the students joined in on the fun, rooting for their teachers. We adopted families for the upcoming holiday and are happy that all food drive baskets have been completed. Up next for Defino Gives Back is our gift drive for families in need, and we will once again partner with RWJ Children's Hospital to support their kiddos that will be hospitalized over the holidays with a toy drive. Defino will have their first pretzel sale of the year next week on the half day before Thanksgiving break, and are also planning a staff Thanksgiving apple bar with all the fixings on Tuesdays, the 26th, as a thank you to our staff. Coming up in December is our fan favorite holiday boutique, and we're so excited about the all new inventory this year. We've been working hard to source new and exciting products all year long. December will also host our winter class parties, cupcake sale, and our favorite holiday tradition, a school-wide sing-along right before winter break. A peek ahead at January, save the date. We will be hosting our first family game show night on January 28th.
Thank you. Dugan, Danielle.
Yes, thank you, Robin, for this liaison report. The PTO was proud to be able to make a presentation at the entrance of Dugan of 18 veterans that were submitted by our parents that were family or friends of the Dugan students. We had a big banner as you drove into Dugan under the flagpole. It was really, it was something special this year to see. Thank you to everyone who participated in our trunk or treat last month. It was a very successful event, and all the students and families had a wonderful time. The Dugan PTO collaborated with the other schools' PTAs and PTO in the district to create a wonderful table of games and activities at the MTPS Community Unity Evening. Thank you to everyone who came and participated in the events, and a special thank you to the other PTOs who really came together to organize everything. And I was actually able to be there with the PTO and our Girl Scout troops, and it was a really special event. The turkey trot will take place on Wednesday, November 27th. Students will get to participate in a lot of fun activities during the day, as well as making a craft leading up to the event. Each grade level will have a certain color assigned to them for turkey trot. Please see the e-blast from this past Sunday with the colors for each grade. The Thanksgiving drive is currently taking place to help local families in need this holiday season. The PTO is collecting gift cards that will then be distributed to the families. Gift cards can be sent in with your student or dropped off in the vestibule. Any student who brings in at least a $10 gift card will receive a free snack from the cafeteria during their lunch period. The next PTO meeting will be tomorrow, November 20th at 7:30. The mini apple pie sale is currently taking place and can be ordered through November 22nd on PT board. The pie slice will be given to students during their snack time on November 27th. Please see the Sunday's e-blast for information on how to order. The next Spirit Day and school store is scheduled for this Friday, November 22nd. Dugan students can show their school spirit by wearing their Dugan apparel or green and yellow. The school store will be set up during the lunch periods, and students can bring in money to purchase items during that time. Our yearbooks are currently for sale. Please see the e-blast sent on Sunday with information on how to order, and also how to submit photos taken of your student during Dugan events. This year, our yearbook has a really special aspect to it. We have a student committee that the PTO is working with 2 to 3 times a month. It has about 9 students. We've had 2 meetings. They are incredible kids that have so many ideas, and we're really teaching them how to become graphic designers and integrate some learning into our yearbook and giving it kind of their own flair. So that's something new, and it's a great initiative. So thank you to Mr. Seibert for letting us use the Media Center, and Mr. Pagliaro for helping us to organize that program. If anyone still has their Route 9 discount card, it should be returned to school or purchased on PT board. This month for Stock the Fridge, we're doing apple cider donuts, and cookies for our teachers on a day leading up to Thanksgiving. And then on December 13th, Dugan is having our first ever winter lights display at Dugan. We're really excited for that. And our talent show registrations will be opening the first week of December.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morel, Dr. Miskowitz.
Thank you to Rapali, Dana, and Mr. Schatz for this report. Circling back to October and early November, in addition to the character pumpkin contest, which you can see up here on the stage, both the Halloween Boo Bash and the Halloween Parade were a huge success. This year surpassed attendance in previous Boo Bashes. On November 11th, the fourth graders did an outstanding job entertaining their fellow students and the honored guests, the veterans. The repertoire honored each branch of the military. A big thank you to the student council led by their very caring advisor, Mrs. Mondaro, and the very talented music teacher, Mrs. O'Driscoll. The smiles on the faces of the veterans said it all. Thank you to all who participated. You did an outstanding job. Morel students proudly participated in the Unity Night event on November 13th with the guidance of their inspirational art teacher, Mrs. Malazzo. They created the letter R, which is up on the stage as well. On November 12th and 13th, the PTO provided students with an exciting and interesting planetarium assembly, which focused on the constellations. Today, the staff were treated to a snack event to celebrate Orange. You glad it's the end of the marking period. Everything was done in orange. Looking ahead, tomorrow, November 20th, is the 50th day of school. Students are asked to come to school in their coolest 50th gear. I'm all for that. I want to go. An indoor movie night is scheduled for this Friday, November 22nd. There will be 2 movie features. The first is Captain Underpants, and the second feature is Inside Out. It's going to be a fun night out. The 5th graders will be invited to spend the evening of December 6th dancing away for a 5th graders only dance. The theme for the evening is Glow Up. That sounds pretty exciting. An ongoing fundraiser has started in November and will continue into December. $1 buys 1 link of a chain. Each person will write on the chain what makes them grateful. There's no limit on the number of links you can purchase. The goal is to wrap the chain throughout the entire building. The title of the project is Individually We Are One Link. Together We Are a Chain. Every student, teacher, family, and friend is a link in the Marlboro chain. The money raised will go towards fixing the broken slide on the playground. The PTO has initiated a wonderful ongoing art appreciation project at Morel. Parents are volunteering their time on Fridays to teach students how to draw and paint. The supplies and projects are all designed by the PTO parents. As an aside, the school store has been a very big hit this year. It's been theme-based. And as a reminder, pie pickup is on November 26th. Thank you.
Thank you. Marlboro Middle.
Marlboro Middle, from Principal Milwaukee. We thank everyone who performed and contributed to the Unity event last week. A special shout out to Mr. McCann for organizing an outstanding Veterans Day program. The assembly attended by 8th graders is a highlight of the school year. We'd like to thank Major Penzak and the ROTC cadets from Colts Neck High School for serving as the color guard for the program, and staff who shared highlights of their family members' experiences while serving in the armed forces. The food drive for Thanksgiving baskets is underway. Please send in a donation. 9 lucky winners, 3 from each grade level, will be treated to a special lunch with the MMS administration. We will still begin our student council drive for Toys for Tots. This is the end of the marking period 1. Report cards will be posted to the parent portal on November 25th. From Lauren and the PTO. Our fall clothing drive is Saturday, 23rd. Clean out those closets, drop off your bags of clean, gently used items, clothing, shoes, handbags, belts, linen, stuffed animals, and small toys. Bags can be dropped off by the flagpole in the front of the building anytime before 1:45 p.m. The 6th grade event will be at Dave & Buster's in Woodbridge on 12/3 from 1:30 to 3:30. The 7th grade event will be at Topgolf in Edison on 12/3 from 1 to 3. We had an overwhelming turnout last year, and the kids had a blast. Hoping that a repeat year, tickets are now on sale. 8th grade committee meeting will be held virtually at 7 p.m. on 12/2. We are really excited to start planning and encourage all 8th graders to join. We'll be discussing the 8th grade dance theme, class gifts, fundraisers, and more. The first fundraiser for the 8th grade graduating class is Krispy Kreme Donuts, and it's currently underway. Let's start raising some dough. Order forms close on 12/1, and pickup is at MMS on Friday 12/9 from 4 to 5:30 p.m. Our Thanksgiving pie sale pickup is November 26th between 3 to 5 p.m. in MMS main lobby. Thanks to all that ordered. We had 13 pay-it-forward pies ordered by our generous MMS families, and we'll be donating them close to home families in need. Our annual book fair will be held on 12/3 to 12/6. Keep an eye out over the next couple of days for parent volunteer sign-up form on PT board. Our last school spirit wear sale of the year closed yesterday. All orders will be delivered to your child's homeroom prior to the winter break. Birthday gram locker donations are currently for sale. Let us decorate your child's locker for their birthday. We will decorate in front of the student's locker with a happy birthday sign that includes their name and birthday, as well as some 3D embellishments. Visit our PT board for more details to order today. And I'd like to wish a happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you. Moving on to Memorial. The PTA-sponsored walkathon is this Friday. They're doing it to raise money for a lot of cool events, and so hopefully they'll get what they're looking for. And so the PTA is bringing the planetarium to Memorial in January, so we're really excited about that. If you want to donate to the walkathon, donations can be made on the PTA website. There were some HIB presentations that were also delivered this week to all students by Mrs. Tardio, Ms. Lavuza, and Dr. Baskin. The Builders Club collected food throughout the month of November for Memorial families in need. The Social Studies honors classes attended the Veterans Day ceremony at Marlboro Township. Fall Book Fair went really well, as did the clothing drive and the book drive. The PTA made $378 for the clothing/bike donations, and lots of kids will be happy with all of the books that were collected. We also hosted a Casola Farms event for the middle school, and it was a huge success. Sold approximately $3,000 in tickets. Small profit for the PTA, but it was really nice to see all the kids having fun together, and looking forward to next year. They also hosted the first ever Halloween pop-up store, where they sold various Halloween items to the kids in the cafeteria. They made $444, and looking forward to the next one in December. PTA will also be in the cafeteria on November 26th for the Give Back to the Children ice cream scooping. Also selling beautiful plush spiritware blankets on the PTA website for $45. Birthday grams are on sale for $10. They're working on the winter sports spiritware. Looking forward to the Winter Wonderland photo booth and holiday pop-up shop, which will take place December 17th and 18th. And that is the liaison update. Thank you, everybody. Okay, moving on. Scope.
Robertsville.
Oh, I'm so sorry. How did I forget the alma mater for us? And they were just here. My apologies, Robertsville.
Okay. I have two for Robertsville. Mr. G wrote, Robertsville has been busy since our last board meeting. Our Boo Bash was a complete success. Thank you to our PTO and staff who planned and attend. Halloween was amazing. Students dressed up and enjoyed festivities. On October 28th, students learned about fire safety and Halloween safety. November kicked off our month of citizenship and our Movember initiative. Students and staff, along with our community, rallied together to help raise over $700 towards men's health. On November 15th, willing students and staff donned fake mustaches to help raise awareness. Mrs. DeVito's class even wrote about men who are important to them in their lives. On November 11th, we celebrated Veterans Day with activities during school social studies. Special thanks to Miss Bono, who's not here anymore, and Mrs. Greer for spearheading and planning the execution. Mrs. Greer decorated our bulletin boards with veterans who have a special meaning for Robertsville students and staff. We are excited to welcome parents to conferences. The portal for parents will be open on 11/20. Communication, including instructions, were sent out by both the school and the district. Also, our PTO Winter Wonderland will be on 12/12. Special shout out to our staff who've been working so hard to support our students academically, socially, and behaviorally. And then from our PTO, we have October was full of spooky fun. Thank you to everyone who supported our McDonald's Dine Out, pretzel sale, and of course, the kids enjoyed shopping at the school store. The fall book fair was a hit. Thank you to our generous parents who contributed to our teachers' classroom libraries. Extra thank you to the parents and staff and PTO for making Boo Bash so much fun. And how could we forget Mrs. Talmadge surprising everyone with the memorable flash mob. 1026 was our fall clothing drive, which we brought in over 2,000 pounds to donate to, she didn't put it in here, to donate to somebody. I don't know where it goes, actually. It's not my event chair. Thank you to the community for supporting us. We just closed out our Thanksgiving pie sale. We used Mark's Bake Shop of Staten Island. We sold 79 pies. Pickup is on 11/26 between 4 and 6 p.m. Our fifth grade ambassadors helped sort our Thanksgiving food drive items. They are now ready for donating. Save the date, 11/22 school store is the next one up. Then 11/26 we have a dine out at Mealy's Pizza. 11/27 is our next pretzel sale. Let's see, Spirit Wear is now available. An extra special shirt designed by one of our students, Hunter Ma, who we all got to see tonight, will be on sale in the shop. 12/22 is a Jets game tickets that are still available on PT board. Spread the word because you get an awesome on-field experience with these tickets. You actually get to go on the field and wave the flag. It's amazing. And last but not least, on behalf of the Robertsville PTO, we want to express our heartfelt gratitude and thanks for the community support we always receive. Wishing everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Moving on to Scope.
Scope has been actively working to support and celebrate our students with special needs. Recently, we hosted a successful painting party that fostered creativity and connection among our participants. Additionally, our Dine to Donate fundraiser at Shake Shack was a hit, bringing the community together while raising funds for our programs. We also partnered with CPAG to spread awareness about neurodiversity at the Community and Unity event, furthering our mission of inclusivity and advocacy. Looking ahead, we are excited to announce that our grant cycle has opened, allowing special education staff to apply for funding to enhance the daily experience of our students through innovative tools and resources. Grants are due on December 20th. Submissions will be reviewed and grant winners will be announced in early 2025. We're busy planning more events and opportunities to support our community, so stay tuned for what's next. Thank you for your continued support in making these efforts possible. That's to the board.
Thank you. CPAC, Dr. Ms. Witz.
Okay. Thank you to Angie and Robin for this report. CPAC hosted a virtual webinar on Monday, October 21st, related to ADHD and executive functioning. This webinar was very well attended and provided very useful information to all parents, caregivers, teachers of Marlboro Township. Marlboro CPAC has collaborated with other New Jersey CPACs to host 2 webinars during November. One webinar took place last Thursday related to behaviors, and the second webinar will be this Thursday at 7 p.m. related to identifying a child's differences and how it can impact their regulation and development. Please see the Marlboro CPAC Facebook page for login information or reach out to Marlboro CPAC with any questions. Be on the lookout for another webinar CPAC will be hosting in December related to progress reports and data collection. Marlboro CPAC and Scope had a combined table at the MTPS Community Unity event. Thank you to Mrs. Tyrone, Mrs. Mortar, and our wonderful teachers and therapists for helping with the table and providing a wonderful interactive experience for those who attended the event. It was a great way to show our community members what some of our students experience on a daily basis. Reminder, the next CPAC meeting will take place next Tuesday, November 26th at 7:30. The link to the virtual meeting will be sent out, and any topics that you would like to discuss should be emailed to mtpscpag@gmail.com or can be posted on the Marlboro CPAC Facebook page. As always, additional support and information can be found on the Marlboro CPAC Facebook page. Oh, I guess it's duplicated. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question for CPAG. Are we hosting them virtually now? We're not doing in-person meetings for CPAG?
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, did you want to, we still want to have back and forth with the community, but during public comments, if you.
I can ask you separately.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, that's fine.
No, whatever's easier. I just was curious. That's
Oh,
all.
okay.
Nothing.
Thank you.
That's fine.
We'll have a few minutes between executive if you want to ask. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for the updates, for gathering them and reaching out to people and collecting that. Appreciate you bringing those to the table. Old business? Anybody have anything for old business? Anything for new business? Okay. We're going to move to public comments. Did anybody sign up? Would anybody like to speak? Okay. Motion to close public comments. Can I have a second? Aditi? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll close public comments. All right, executive session resolution. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, the Marlboro Township Board of Education shall conduct a closed executive session pursuant to the pursuant to the exception prescribed by NJSA 10-4-12 for the purpose of discussing matters of attorney-client privilege, personnel matters, and legal matters. It is anticipated that the length of time of this executive session will be 60 minutes and that action will not be taken in public after the executive session. Be it further resolved that the minutes of the executive session will be released when the need for confidentiality in accordance with NJSA 10-4-12 no longer applies. All in favor? Any opposed? Discussion? Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight.